Oh, cool. That's my reaction right now when it comes to Hedera. Why is that? Nothing I say is financial advice. However, Hedera very recently, they posted how they're going to be an official sponsor for the USA House during the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland. And they're going to be contributing, right, to senior level discussions on, for instance, in something like AI, which I find pretty interesting because I just think Hedera is so unique. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and again, nothing I say is financial advice. However, if we take a look at it, other projects out there, right, in terms of the ones that really like to be focused on AI, a lot of them that I do see, they're using traditional blockchain technology, which is fine. I mean, it's worked great so far, and I think it's still going to work moving forward. But actually, if we take a look at Hedera, it utilizes something called a directed acyclic graph. So it's just different. Now, again, some people like to say it's not really going to matter. But a directed acyclic graph, just by nature, it's been kind of known, right? When compared to usually these type of projects that use traditional blockchain technology, it's been known that, again, something like a directed acyclic graph tends to be a little bit sometimes faster, sometimes a little bit scalable, or should I say more scalable, right? Also, we see just the efficiency overall in terms of energy consumption. So in the grand scheme of things, sure, these differences may be kind of a little bit minuscule at first glance, but we have to take a look at it on a world stage. You know what I mean? Globally, enterprises, sometimes they care about these minute details. Me personally, I won't probably notice it. Like, I'm not going to really care about it, right? But in terms of an enterprise, a lot of them do care. Now, overall, though, people like to say, well, who really cares about AI projects anymore? Well, here's the thing. Okay, sure. The narrative when it comes to this space in terms of AI, it hasn't really been as great as before. But I don't think that could hypothetically always stay the same, because what happens if there's an altcoin season, right? What happens when the sentiment becomes better like before? This is my mindset, which is why when it comes to HBAR just overall, I'm still hypothetically thinking about the idea of maybe, in theory, who knows, $3. Now again, I'll never be able to know exactly what could happen, but that's just something I'm thinking about. Why? Well, it's because it's only around 25 times lower than that, which may seem like quite a lot, but really in the grand scheme of things, I mean, if there's an altcoin season, sometimes we see movements that seem to happen pretty rapidly. Now, it's not going to be for every single project, but just take a look at HBAR in 2025. The sentiment was not doing good for quite a while, and then suddenly we saw a rally. Granted, there's a pullback as of right now, but I'm just saying, in terms of projects overall within this space, sometimes during an altcoin season, the movement sometimes to me feels like kind of rapid. Not for all projects, but for some projects that I do see. And Hedera's already kind of done that a little bit, right, when it comes to HBAR. It already kind of had that pretty good initial step not too long ago. But that wasn't an altcoin season in my perspective. So we'll wait and see if there's an altcoin season. But really, again, if I take a look at $3, considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around 128 billion. That's not going to be breaking any records by any means. It seems like a lot to me at first glance, of course, but really if I take a look at BNB reaching over 100 billion back in 2021, like the thing is this, what's more revolutionary, the BNB chain or this? You know what I mean? Like, the BNB chain is cool and all, don't get me wrong, I'm still a fan of it, but come on, like a lot of other projects out there, they're using traditional blockchain technology. Hedera simply doesn't use that. It uses a directed acyclic graph. It's just a little bit different. Now, as a result of it being a little bit unique, the adoption is just not currently the best. But the thing is this, new technology sometimes, they could take quite a while. It's like, for instance, we take a look at EVs. When they first came along, was it really such a big narrative? Not really. It is now, though, right? It's because eventually people soon realized how cool it was and all this type of stuff. When it comes to Hedera, it just sometimes hasn't really become like too mainstream yet as of right now, because I think kind of the technology behind it, kind of the uniqueness, is just a little bit different. It's like, for instance, right, when the iPhone was released, a lot of people still were using like, other phones like a Nokia and stuff like that. It takes quite a while sometimes. So personally for me, the way to take a look at it is that, sure, Hedera may not have the best adoption as of right now, but I've seen time and time again, when there's an altcoin season, people usually care about the narrative. They care about something that's different, something that's unique. And I'm not saying that it could be the case here. I'll have to wait and see. But this is just by default different than the rest, right? It is more unique because it just simply doesn't utilize traditional blockchain technology. So just by default, again, it's just a bit different. However, even besides all that though, if I take a look at as of right now, what I see is that there's no altcoin season, right? Bitcoin has never reached 150 grand. But the thing is, there's over 600 million owners within this space right now. Back in 2021, there was around 300 million owners. So right now we pretty much have double without seeing all those factors, right? Again, an altcoin season during this cycle and also having not seen Bitcoin at around 150 grand ever so far. We'll wait and see though. But there's allegedly more owners than ever before in history right now. I find that pretty impressive actually. So what could the figures look like if there was an altcoin season? Would there be over 700 million? Over 800 million? Who knows? We'll wait and see. But I guess if it was more than right now, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. The thing is this as well though. If I'm a fan of projects that use traditional blockchain technology, there's a lot of options, right? I take a look at Solana, Cardano, and all this type of stuff, Ethereum. There's a lot. But if I ask myself, okay, what's a little bit unique, what's a little bit different? Let's say I want to look for something that doesn't utilize traditional blockchain technology. What's pretty much the most famous one? It's something like Hedera. Keep in mind, Hedera's governing council even includes something like Google and also something like Mondelez. Mondelez, by the way, their brands do include something like Oreo, for instance, and Oreo, of course, is just very popular. So really, in the grand scheme of things, it's a bit unique, right? It's a bit different when it comes to Hedera. It has a pretty impressive governing council, and also on top of that, it's pretty well established. I just don't want to give up. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, by the way. This is just my mindset. But as of right now, I'm just not going to give up when it comes to HBAR. This is my perspective. Now, no one is telling me to do this. I don't have to do it. And even if someone told me to do it, I'm making my own decision at the end of the day. I could easily leave, but I just don't want to because I've been in HBAR for over 2 years at this point. I just don't want to give up like that. But this is just, again, my perception when it comes to Hedera. I'll never be able to know exactly when an altcoin season could or would happen in a hypothetical make-believe scenario. However, what I want to do is just prepare. That's it. I'm not saying anything could or would happen. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying in case, right? That's kind of my perspective. It's like, for instance, I try to go outside. I don't know if it's going to be raining or not. I want a raincoat just in case. Just kind of like that. Or an umbrella or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just being a little bit in case type of mindset where it's like, I want to just be prepared if something like that were to maybe happen. So if the space maybe in a make-believe scenario had an altcoin season during this cycle, I just want to be prepared. That's the way to take a look at it. I'd rather be prepared than not, but I'm not telling anyone to do anything. This is my perception, just in real life in general. I'm not only talking about this space, but just in real life in general, right? I'd rather, when I'm traveling or something like that, I'd rather over-prepare than under-prepare. Because being under-prepared, let's say I go to a place and then it's too cold or something like that, then it's not going to be such a good time. However, if I'm over-prepared, sure, I could have brought too many jackets, but so what, right? I'd rather be over-prepared than under-prepared. But besides that point, I'm just staying patient as of right now, and I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But that's just pretty much about it. I wanted to make this video talking about the recent update when it comes to Hedera in terms of what they posted. And I want to say thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll see you all in the next video.